Jester, level 22 upgrade. So for the last upgrade, I ended up installing the front RPM A-arms. And yes, thanks again to Coyote0976. He also donated the rears. So let's go ahead and open these up and check them out. So I'm sure it's pretty much going to be nearly identical to the front ones, but still, I like to take these out of the package. Of course, we have the directions on installing them and adjusting them to how they need to be. There we have the arms themselves. And yes, the centerpiece can easily be broken off. In fact, yeah, just like that. Now, also in the package, they do include RPM stickers, the person that packaged it, and 2 screws. This is for the push rods. So now that we got these out of the package, let's go ahead and get them installed on Jester. So the first step is removing the rear tires by removing that center nut on each side. Next, I need to go ahead and remove the fin/rear body mount. That is held in with 5 screws, 3 on top and then 2 in the back right here. Alright, now once I remove those rear screws, the tie rods are going to come undone. That I don't have to worry about. But now I can finally go ahead and pull out this rear wing mount. Next, I need to go ahead and remove the bottom rear skid plate. It's held in with 4 screws. Now I'm just going to pull that off, and I have to be careful that these pins don't fall out, at least yet. And if they do, don't worry about it. The next thing I need to remove is the tie rods from the lower arm, and they're just held in with a single screw on each side. Now I'm just going to pop that out. Now it's time to remove the axle carrier from the rear A-arms. What you're going to want to do, even if you have the steel CVDs or the stock plastic drive shafts, is just straighten out this arm. That way you'll get access to the pillow balls on the top and bottom. You're going to unscrew the top for a little bit and then the bottom and keep going back and forth. Now that I got both axle carrier off, it's time to go ahead and finally remove the rear A-arms. Now one important note that you gotta pay attention to is that the push rod does go through the middle of the top A-arm. So just remember that. So I'm going to pull off this aluminum plate just like that, and now get some pliers and remove all 6 pins. There's 2 long ones on top, and now I can pull the top A-arms off, and then there's 4 small ones on bottom, 2 in the back and 2 towards the bottom rear. Now usually you're going to have to use some needle nose pliers or tweezers to pull those out. One nice little thing that you can do is just slide up the pins, and once you can pull the arm off, just leave them on there. Usually the middle skid plate will hold them in place while you put the rear ones back on. Now be sure to pay attention to how the rear arms are, because you cannot mix around any of these arms. They have to go on there in a very specific way. Here's a quick side-by-side comparison of the stock ones compared to the RPM. You can see that they are a bit beefier. Believe me guys, RPM plastic is way stronger than stock. So, for the top A-arm, all I have to do is slide it into position and use one of the long pins and slide it into place. Be sure that that push rod goes through the center of that arm. And then for the bottom, all I have to do is, well, slide it into place and then put those pins back in. And it's the same thing for the other side. Once that's all said and done, you can go ahead and reinstall the rear aluminum plate. Just like that. Flip it back upside down, and then you're going to put on the skid plate. The skid plate is going to keep those pins from sliding out, and believe me, you don't want that to happen. Then you're going to go ahead and flip it back over and reinstall the rear wing mount. Now you'll notice that there's this flat piece that sticks out. That goes into that little slot right there. And now you're only going to put in these top 3 screws, because the 2 screws in the back hold in the links, and well, we don't have those on there yet, so only the top 3. Now that the wing mount's back on there, you don't have to worry about the top peg sliding back out. Now it's time to go ahead and reinstall the axle carriers. So what you're going to do is, once again, straighten out the A-arms, slide the drive shaft back into position, and then you're going to screw back in the pillow balls. Remember to go from top to bottom, so you can screw it in evenly. Now that that's taken care of, you can go ahead and reattach the push rod using that new screw. Slide in the tie rod back into its place, and then reattach the back screws. Put on the tires, and we are done with this upgrade. Here's before And here is after. Guys, those arms do look good, and it's nice they match the front. Thanks again so much, Coyote. This is just too freaking cool. Now at this point, this RC is finally pretty solid. There's a couple more things I'd like to go ahead and get upgrades wise, but it is nice to have it up and running so strong. And that was Jester's level 22 upgrade.